Welcome back to the Reality Kingdom where we talk all things reality TV or whatever
Or,
I'm your
or,
host, Pharaoh. I'm joined by our wonderful co-host, Lee. Lee, girl, how you doing?
this week we've had our ups and downs. It's been, I don't
Like
know.
to take you higher.
Very ghetto. Yeah, it's been, I don't know. It's been a week. It's been a week. I have a lot of mixed emotions. Just know people will be getting dragged. KKK will be getting
Girl,
dragged.
we'll be getting
Terrence
drag.
will be getting dragged. Jasmine will be getting dragged. Indy will also be getting. A lot of people are getting dragged tonight, and the scores will also continue to just be very low. So a lot of people are playing very terribly.
Very bad. Let's get into it or whatever. So, well, first of all, let's bring up the girls. And as per usual, who's at the top?
Mother.
The consistent queen who will never be evicted, mind
And then
you.
look at the people with the X's on their name. Daniel will be joining. It's been Taylor Voodoo, Taylor Voodoo, Taylor Voodoo, and Taylor Voodoo again.
And Taylor Voodoo again. It's never
literally
stopping.
A consistent. The full pre-jury is bitches who spoke on Taylor and found the fuck out what it means. Okay. That karma has been snatching bitches left and right.
Real
and I
nasty.
hope it continues into jury.
It'll continue to the finale, and Taylor wins the game. Is what it will do.
Because the thing, they've been having Taylor's name in their mouth all game. It would be a travesty for her to get to final two and they not vote her.
Yeah, might as well say her name again.
Her name been in y'all mouth all season. Might as well say it when it matters.
If you don't want to see me dancing with
somebody.
Oh, Dua Lipa. Check out Dua Lipa album. Shout out to Future Nostalgia. Now, let's get into this motherfucking rating or whatever, this shit or whatever. We're going to talk about the week, the live feeds, what's been happening since Thursday till today or whatever. So if you recall, Nicole ass was evicted.
Ooh, and we praise Jesus.
Got that ass. Lord. Got that ass. So they played the HOH competition, and we found out that Michael won the head of household.
And it was the comp that Sarah Beth won last year, the little tippy toe on the thing. Now, I had manifested that competition for Taylor, but Michael winning was really great because we all knew that meant Mother was safe.
Period.
All I cared about because he was not touching Taylor, which means who's in jury? Mother!
Period. So at the beginning of the week, honestly, one of the first things we hear from Michael is, I'm not touching Taylor, Bookie. So be ready for that. And we knew coming off of last week, we had got a lot of information from KKK Kyle. So KKK Kyle's idea was that Monty and Joseph, who are in the leftovers, were working with Jasmine, Indy, who else is colored? Terrence and Taylor. That was something that might have been forming. This was not forming for real. He got this idea because Monty and Joseph has been telling him that they have Jasmine, they have Indy, they have Terrence. And so that's what the idea was that Kyle had. And so he tried to implement that to Michael. And so the idea was he was trying to convince Michael to not go after Daniel and to not go after Alyssa, and for him, Turner, Daniel, Alyssa, and Brittany to work together against this imaginary alliance, right? So that's kind of where we're starting off at the week. And so we're trying to decide if Michael is going to go with this or not. However, Daniel asked, when he found out Nicole was going home, he decided to walk around the house basically saying that Michael's going to win the game. So we knew already that Michael was not feeling that off rip. So
it's like literally Daniel, he is so like just the definition of just such an insecure, just pitiful, dumb little man. Like, you are still in the game, and literally the person that you directly came for just won HOH. You set yourself up from the get-go. And honestly, I think this is a cute time to kind of speak up on Kyle's little white brigade that he tried to form. It's like, the weird thing about it is that you're now telling Michael that I want someone to stay in the game that is actively saying that you're going to win and will likely target you. And Michael, for me, I was confused as to why Michael would even take this into consideration, because babe, you know Daniel is after you. I don't know. Like, Daniel has been after Michael since week 1. That's why he nominated you. He has not talked to you or tried to rekindle everything since he nominated you. So it was just really weird that they, kind of was even considering it. And I guess I can understand because they were genuinely all concerned a little bit about the, POC House Guest grouping together. I mean, he realized him and Brittany discussed how they knew they had Taylor because of, previous relationships, but they still were not sure if Monty and Joseph would target Terrence, Jasmine, and Indy. So with that fear, this new group, I mean, it still is something that's in development, but this development of the basically all White House guests, like no shade, it's Kyle, Alyssa, Michael, Brittany, and Turner. These seeds start planting a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of the week, Michael kind of quickly says he doesn't want to nom any of the girls. So that's Indy, Alyssa, Jasmine, or Taylor. And of course not Brittany because she can't get nommed because he wants to rekindle a relationship with them, which means he's probably most likely going to nom the only boy groups left, which is Terrence, Monty, and Joseph. He thinks he's going to put them up as pawns initially, and then he's going to backdoor Daniel because Daniel was walking around with his name in his mouth. He said if Daniel can't get backdoored, then Terrence can go. Period. So that's what we're looking at the beginning of the week or whatever.
He also mentioned he would not mind Monty going. And then this is when I started doing the numbers because quickly I realized if the reality where Monty, Terrence, and Joseph is on the block, it would essentially Monty should be staying because he should have 4 locked leftovers votes, which would be what Taylor, Kyle, Turner, and Brittany. However, with Kyle entertaining this thought of, well, if the POCs are working together, I should flip, then there was a potential that Monty could be going home. Kyle just had to, hey, I vote the other way.
Mm-hmm. So it was getting real nasty, real like, because Michael was genuinely considering this Monty situation, but we'll kind of get into that also a little bit later because Michael, he doesn't necessarily really, it doesn't seem like beginning on, he necessarily knows what he wants because he keeps wavering on the Daniel thing. He's like, does Daniel have to end? It's kind of like a slight waiver to where Brittany's kind of letting him know, like, baby, he gonna have to go still. And it's like, why Brittany having to still let you know? But we move. So that's the plan, and that's the plan that's set in motion. And while that plan is being set in motion, Kyle is kind of sprinkling to the outside people, to the people not in the leftovers, about the idea that, maybe he talks to Alyssa. And when he talks to Alyssa, he brings up this white personalized to Alyssa. And they kind of call it what group was it? The group of the game they were playing. What game were they playing?
The Chinese Checkers Alliance.
The Chinese Checkers Alliance, that gets mentioned to Alyssa or whatever. And Alyssa's like, I really like that group. But Taylor was included in that group. And that's going to come up a little bit later in the week because Alyssa started doing some crazy shit. So,
and it's also important to note in this conversation, when they mentioned kind of like they were talking about like, okay, like if veto is not used, type things like that, who do you think will go home? And mind you, Kyle is under the impression that the POCs are sticking together. So they're kind of talking and it kind of comes up like, would there be votes for Monty? And Alyssa's like, well, no, Indy and Jasmine will definitely vote Monty out.
Mm-hmm.
So this that kind of is a hit to his
throughout
whole idealism.
Week, Kyle keeps getting like hits, like as if he's a psychic. He getting them hits like, baby, this isn't happening. Baby, the niggas aren't together. Babe, the blacks don't love each other like that. Like he's really getting them hits.
It's not giving cookout, Kyle. It's so, not giving.
It's not, babe. So Alyssa gave him this strong ass. She was like, baby, Jasmine and Indy want that nigga. You know what I'm saying? So he's getting these hints, but he's still in that land at that moment. So we get to the events of the motherfucking veto. So we get to the veto, and during the veto, it's OTEV. It's OTEV. And one of the most important things that happened during the veto is that the way that it ended. So it came down to Terrence and Michael. And when it came down to Terrence and Michael, Terrence whispered in Michael's ear. He was like, Pookie, I'm going to throw it for you. Because if I throw it for you, we can get that Monty man out.
Because Terrence feels like Daniel is his closest ally in the house. So he chooses that he's not he's going to target another black person in the game. Because see, one thing about Terrence, he's going to claim to be all for the brown and all for wanting to get to the end and actively target every single black person in the house. It's very weird and uncomforting.
Mm-hmm. So he went out of his way to try to stay on the block to make sure that Monty goes home. So that's just another hit for Kyle once he gets that information. So basically, Michael was like, okay, sure, good. Michael wins the veto. Now, we'll get into him winning the veto when we get to his rating because, but when we move. So Michael wins the veto. And when he wins the veto, he has this information from Terrence. So after the veto, Terrence goes to talk to him and he basically reiterates, we get now Monty. Michael, fake ass, is like, sure. Jasmine comes up, and Jasmine is a really active player. It's so kind of weird. Like, why is she randomly active? But we move. So Jasmine comes up to Michael, and she has a plan. She's like, "Here, look here, Pookie. This is the plan. We can get out Monty. Me, Indy, Alyssa, and if you and Brittany are on board, that's the votes. If the noms stay the same, Monty will be out of here, and I guarantee you, I got them girls." He was like, "Oh, ooh, okay, that sounds cute."
And mind you, Brittany's in the room with this the whole time because it's really important to note, and we're going to get into the ratings too. Like, Michael and Brittany, like, they're a festy bestie pair, but they are definitely playing the game together at this point. Like, no one is afraid to share information with both of them at the same time because they know they're a known untouchable. But so after she leaves the room, it's very quickly that Michael and Brittany kind of realize, okay, the POC Cookout 2.0 allegations are not true. Clearly what's happening is the other side is just linking together. So they believe that now with the information from Jasmine and Terrence, that basically Indy, Alyssa, Jasmine, Terrence, Daniel, they're all aside and they're now trying to plant seeds and get the vote to go their way. So this makes Michael and Brittany even more inclined to stick with the leftovers in this position because they feel like, why flip with them and be 6 and 7? Why do their dirty work and get Monty out when we can use Monty? Because the gag is the only fear came from the fact of thinking that Monty and Joseph is working with the POCs on that side because they could potentially have some type of deeper connection. It just was not true. It was all bullshit. So basically, they just get reaffirmed how loyal Monty and Joseph is. I just want to mention as well, the only reason why they know about this potential Cookout 2.0 allegation is because Monty and Joseph told them that Terrence and Indy and Jasmine approached them with an alliance that they did not even go forward with really creating. So now with all of this coming out, they're like, well, essentially, now we can just throw them under the bus to Monty, make him trust us more, be re-solidified with the leftovers, and get Daniel the fuck up out of here.
Period. And that's exactly what Michael did. They made sure to let Joseph and Monty know how Jasmine and Terrence was slandering their name. So now Monty and Joseph know that they're with the 7. The other people know that they're with the 7, except Kyle. So now there's a conversation between Michael, Brittany, and Kyle. And you have to know that the idea of the White Alliance came from Kyle. The idea that the blacks were working together really came from Kyle, and he pushed it onto Michael
from Kyle. And I just want to be very clear. I don't want people to think that, oh, we're imagining things, we're talking about things. Kyle said from his own Caucasian lips that he feel like Taylor, Monty, and Joseph are 3 within the leftovers. So the other players, Turner, Michael, Brittany, and him need to link together. And he said they also could be inclined to work with players like Terrence, Indy, and Jasmine because they've all talked about being here for representation. They've all talked about, they have things that can connect them. He mentioned Indy being the first Brazilian woman. He also mentioned Monty saying he wanted a final 2 with Amira because she was a strong black woman. These are things that, frankly, the Coons were saying while trashing Taylor. But what makes it weird is that we all know how Taylor has been treated up until this point. So why is now Taylor being grouped with these people based on nothing but race? And that's what makes it weird because when you go back to the Cookout and BB23, these were not people who were grouping everyone else together and targeting them for one specific reason. These were people uniting for a specific cause and just getting to the end of the game. In this situation, you're now grouping people who don't even trust each other. We're never looking to work with one another. If Michael had taken this information and ran with it, Monty would be going home on false accusation and false claims. Is exactly what happened in BB Can 10 with Tanisha, Herman, Summer, several of those POC players. It's really just a very a scary strategy that can now just be justified by, well, the cookout might be forming. They did the exact same thing in All Stars. They grouped David, Kevin, Bailey, and Davon together. That was before a cookout happened. So to use the excuse that it could be the cookout, no, that's BS. You're just scared, and it's clearly it's a very insecure thing happening here. So that's why I just want to make clear, it's not that we're making anything up. Kyle said this with his own damn mouth.
Period. I was on the winner's circle the other day. Check that out or whatever.
And with Tiffany Mitchell.
Period. And when I was on there, I did mention the same thing. And I saw a comment, and the comment was like, well, isn't Kyle justified because Monte and Joseph told him that Jasmine, Indy, and Terrence were wanting to work with him? And to respond to that, first of all, Monte and Joseph told him. So that enough should kind of like, maybe not click that together. But the real issue with this, which Lee already touched upon, is them including Taylor in it. Him including Taylor in it really shows that it has nothing to do with what they were saying, because what they were saying was about Jasmine, Indy, and Terrence. So for him to also group Taylor with them, there's no evidence for that one now. You can try to claim, oh, they did mention they were close to them. But with Taylor, where's that coming from, Buki? Where's that coming from, Mom?
And I would also like to note in several conversations, because Kyle has been thinking this for a while, he's been lightly trying to push it onto Michael and Brittany so they can try to extend out. But like I said, like Sarah mentioned, it's got shot down several times. Brittany is someone who really put in a lot of work this week of, no, Taylor is definitely not with them. Jasmine and Indy hates her. The main reason why she didn't want to even join the leftovers is because she did not trust Monte and Joseph. And shockingly to Kyle, this was all new information. When Alyssa earlier told him that Indy and Jasmine will be down with targeting him, and he was literally gagged by that information as well, because he genuinely did not think that, these people could really be actually turning against each other. So once he becomes privy to that information, because prior to talking to them, he had talked to Jasmine downstairs in the bathroom in front of Alyssa, where Jasmine basically said, Michael is down to get out Monte. Are you down to do it too? Because Jasmine is a very active player, whether she's loud and wrong or what, she's going to go talk to people. And so that is even further solidifying to him, okay, the blacks are not working together, so I can calm it down on the race and division talk for now.
So after the conversation with Michael and Brittany, it kind of, like Lee said, it kind of calms down a little bit when it comes to the race and division talk. So Michael, is this after he goes through with the veto? No, he didn't do the veto shit yet. So we get to the veto ceremony. Michael decides to use the veto, and he backdoors Daniel and Kyle. After this, a lot of the girls who were on Daniel's side, which is now called the convenience store, that is Jasmine, Indy, Daniel, Alyssa, and Terrence. Basically, they mad at Michael because Buki, what happened to getting out Monte?
And this is kind of on Michael's fault. We're definitely getting more into it in his rating, but something the leftovers has been doing in general. But Michael this week, he let them think he was actually going to do this. The fact that Jasmine left that conversation thinking, he's going to do this, so now let me spread this around and solidify this. He had them fully thinking that Monte was going to go up. And today, but the hours before, he was like, it's not happening. So they've already played their game around this. They've already tried to work around this. They think this is going to happen, and then bloop, last minute you don't do it. So now, after the veto has been used, Daniel has been replaced, it now solidifies in their mind that, of course, Michael and Brittany are now working with Monte and Taylor. So now, to the convenience store side of things, they now think that is a solidified 4. They also have Turner. They truthfully believe that Joseph and Kyle is nowhere near that, mainly because Alyssa has Kyle, and Joseph has put in great work into making them think that he's with them. But that has now solidified that side into thinking so.
So after this, after the veto solidified, we know Daniel's going home. Daniel's out the door. He's going home. Kyle's not going anywhere. Kyle has mentioned that he might join next week. Next week. Woo! Shout out to Taylor. Next week, he's going to join Taylor, Alyssa, and Indy if the twist is still in effect, which it might be, child.
Which I heard the girls are saying, shout out to Spoiler Girl on Twitter, apparently the rumor is next week they're going to still have the bestie twist on the first week of jury. It's going to end the week with a double eviction, and the bestie twist will end right before the double eviction. Which I think will be kind of cute, which will also be interesting because I think a lot of the gameplay really depends on whether the twist ends or not.
Exactly. So, and so now we know Daniel's going home. We kind of know who Kyle's going to choose. There's been some new developments going on as of literally damn near
a few
hours ago. So, child.
So basically, now that Michael and Brittany are privy to the information that they did all of this work and the other side still does not like them, because if you go back, Michael's original plan was that he does not want to put up any girl groups this week so he can make that side trust him, because the convenience store is mainly women and Terrence. You know what I mean? He hasn't had a good relationship with Terrence, so he didn't really care about getting him back on his side. So the plan was to nominate the boys and then backdoor Kyle, and that would make Jasmine, Indy, and Alyssa trust him. Well, because of people like Joseph and Monty coming back and telling him information, he now knows that they don't like him, they don't trust him, and they're solidifying him now with Monty and Taylor. So I do think he is now kind of resorting back to wanting this kind of alliance with Kyle and Alyssa. Just a few hours ago, they have kind of all four talked in the HOH room about solidifying their kind of core four. They still talking about bringing in Turner. Kyle has mentioned he doesn't know if he can trust Turner that much, because Turner is someone who hangs a lot out with Taylor and Joseph late at nights. So people are scared about that, child. We also have Taylor and Joseph this week. They are in a faux-mance. We don't know if this is a slow burn to a relationship. I would like to see it, babe. I'm really here for it.
I fear.
But the faux-mance is getting kind of interesting, because people like Brittany and Michael have discussed, we don't feel comfortable her having a showmance with Joseph. However, they are actively trying to work with Kyle and Alyssa, so we see where their logic here is with that. Very weird energy. And we also have now, basically, Monty is shifting way more down in the house. The convenience store does not want to work with him. We have people within the leftovers now using him, because the leftovers have not been using the actual cookout strategy. Like we mentioned, they don't have any pawns. So if the twist ends and a non-leftover member wins, there's a good possibility that they're definitely just going to put up two leftover members, because they know the entire alliance. Also, something interesting that happened today. I'm going to spill the motherfucking tea because I don't like her. Jasmine told Indy that she has a crush on Joseph. Jasmine mismarried. Apparently, her and Indy were under the covers, and she obstructed the microphone, and they were discussing how she has a low-key crush on Joseph. Mind you, today is her husband's birthday. Yes, I said her husband.
I didn't know all of that.
So, hey.
Happy birthday to you, black man. I know that's right.
Bookie poo. So that's what's happening in the Big Brother house. I'm ready to just get into these ratings, because it's crazy.
These ratings. As you can see, last week we had what the tea was. Last week we had our guest Diamante on. Shout out to Diamante. Mother. This week is on the bottom. We will get into these ratings for this week. Let's start off with Nakop. What you rating Nakop as an overall player?
I'm going to definitely just keep it at a 0. I feel like I would entertain giving her a score if she literally did not go against the literal HOH and not using the veto. And yes, I'm going to blame her for not using it, even though she didn't have it, because we all know if she would have told her pet Daniel to use it, she would have been used. They actively both went into this plan, and he's now going home because of it too. So he's a 0 as well, but we'll get to it. But she's a 0.
I'll give her a 2.
Oh, generous queen today.
I'm a generous queen. All right, let's get into the actual people who are in the game still. Nakop is out. Alyssa, how you feeling about Alyssa or whatever?
Alyssa the bird. Now, honestly, Alyssa's game is very interesting. I think because of her connection to Kyle, she's getting a lot of by proxy safety. Something I was telling Farrell kind of before the podcast even started was that Alyssa is someone who isn't really seen as a big side for a big force for the convenience store, because she's not someone who's outwardly loud with her opinions on thinking about the alliance. She's not outwardly targeting Monty. If it's brought up, she's definitely going to push it, but she's not out here like forcing it. She also has people like Michael and Brittany wanting to work with her and protect her. Taylor has mentioned not wanting to go after her and things like that. The only person who's really trying to come for her head at this point is Joseph, but with Joseph having this new information about Indy and Jasmine and them, she might be safe in that regards. She's in a position to where I think she can get dragged pretty far. And I will say this position is not necessarily on her own doing, which is why I'm a little bit lower. I think I'm going to do a 4.5 for her. I do think if she what would need to happen for Alyssa is this core of the white group needs to form. If that does solidify and they're able to clinch power past this Festi Bestie twist, I do think she can get in the position to where if she wins a few competitions, boom, she's sitting at the end. My issue with Alyssa, and probably will always be with Alyssa, is the win equity. She's a little dense in the head. She's not the sharpest tool in the shed. And I don't think a lot of people will respect her when it comes towards the end of this game, because at this point, she just looks like someone who's here for a showman. So she's just shooting her man over her alliances.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I remember, honestly, at the end of last week, I believe it was, I was telling Lee, I was like, honestly, if I was Alyssa, I would ditch Jasmine and Indy and them. I feel like that's her best move, that if she hops up off of them, then people might want to use her. And low-key, that's low-key what happened, because she started talking shit, let's be real. And after she started talking shit, she started developing a relationship with Michael and Brittany a little bit, and also Kyle. And Kyle was trying to bring her into this white brigade. So she got a lot of by proxy, benefit from that. But she did honestly just naturally have a relationship with Turner. A part of the reason that Turner might be brought into this is because they know he's good with Alyssa, because he's not even that good with Brittany and them. It's kind of more so Alyssa. And if this white brigade is made, Alyssa finna be in one of the best positions, because she got Kyle, her boyfriend, Turner, her lover, and then Michael and Brittany, who she's developed a great relationship with. So, mind you, she has a boyfriend, but we move. So that's really good for her if it does work out. And I think that, like I always say this, and I'm gonna continue to say it, I don't think we can really see social game through the screen like that, but we can hear it. And we hear a lot of people saying that Alyssa has the best social game on that side. And I think we can kind of now see what they're talking about, because the way Michael and Brittany feel so comfortable with working with her kind of shows like, okay, they feel comfortable for a reason other than the fact that she's white, because Taylor also feels comfortable with her a little bit. So I think that it shows that it is some effort from her. And I can see when I do watch the feast, the way she speaks to Taylor, if I was Taylor, I'd be like, damn, low-key, I like Alyssa, because she is very opening and she's very warm when it comes to that. So I can give her a little bit of credit. But a lot of this also just goes to the fact that, one, she's white, and two, she's with Kyle. And I feel like that's kind of just, unearned likability. So shout out to Kylan. I'm going to give her a 4 for now, but it can definitely go up after this. Now we can talk about Brittany. Now, y'all know me.
Brittany Defender.
That's my girl. I support Brittany down. Like I said on the Winner's Circle, like I said on the last podcast, I think Brittany can win. I think Brittany can win less now a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Now that Kyle has kind of hopped off of this delusional train, it's kind of going to go back towards the fact that Kyle could easily win. I think he was leaving that Winner's Circle, but now he's coming back to the Winner's Village, and it's like, ooh, it's looking bad. But so I it's still iffy, but I do think that Brittany is in a good position, because especially now that Michael has won another competition, a lot of people are definitely now just going to get out Michael if they target them. And if they don't target Michael, I don't think they'll target Brittany. I think they'll target Monty or Joseph or even Taylor before Brittany. So it's like, I think she still has a lot of safety. She's not necessarily liked by Jasmine or Indy, but I don't think they'll target her. And within her alliance, she's in a good position, because she has the threesome with Taylor and Michael. She has the new foursome with Alyssa and Kyle, and they're trying to bring in Turner to that. So at this point, she has a lot of safety, but the issue is that, is this girl going to win when it comes to voting for her? She knows she can really only win against one or two people. And now that these other people are getting in the game, like Alyssa being brought into the game like this, it just is another person who can beat her. And it's like, dang, because now that Alyssa's actually a contender to being anywhere in the game, that's just an added obstacle, I feel, for Brittany. Brittany has to overcome a lot to get that win equity. And I don't know if she has a lot of ways to do that. She needs to like win an HOH, take a girl out, like earn some respect, and she just hasn't got that yet. So because of her position, I'm still gonna keep her a little bit higher. You know what? I'll bring her to a 5. I'll bring her to a 5.
Yeah, I feel like personally, Brittany's position has definitely improved this week because of the White Brigade kind of forming. She has reached out to an allegiance with Alyssa. Alyssa is counting now way more loyal to Brittany and Michael than she ever was before. We have a situation now that since Michael has won 5 competitions, there's a good chance that even if she is nominated next to him in a situation where the Festi Bestie switches to the thing, he probably goes home now. My only fear with Brittany is, like Farrell mentioned, is the kind of the win equity thing. I don't think that she is necessarily moving in the way that's going to get her to the win just yet. However, when it comes to safety, she really is set up well, because I feel like even if the twist does end, they're going to be focused on the bigger hitters who they're thinking in our alliance, which would be a Monty, a Taylor. There's so many other people that's going to be looked at, and I think that Brittany is always going to present herself as someone that can be used, and she's always going to be someone that people will want to go to for that situation. I feel like, honestly, for me, I would say she's a 5.5. I was just a 5.5. I think personally she's really just on the up and up. I don't, with him winning this 5th competition, if she's tied to him going into next week, I feel like he's definitely probably could go. Like, she has a fighting chance, a really good fighting chance, because people now dislike him and the competition. And also, if it's split up, then she may not even touch the block. But it's like, what's the point of getting out Brittany with all this situation?
Okay. Now we have, girl, how you feel about this man?
Daniel is a 0. He's a flop. We have so much more we can say about him, but we're going to get into that on his dragging video. But he's definitely a 0. I mean, he was told by the HOH, hey, don't use the veto or your closest ally will go home. And what did he do? He used the veto, and his closest ally went home. And he's following her right after. He's pitiful. He's embarrassing. Like I said, he should have never been casted. And I'm glad he's going home. He'll make a great 5th jury member. I can't wait to Sharon Tharp and Mike Bloom get into his ass real good.
Period. I don't think Indy's necessarily doing a lot. She very recently just made a final 2 with Jasmine. I think that's a little bit beneficial in their little world of not in the game. So that's good for her. She has a good relationship with Joseph. That can still because he knows that she wants him out. Because a lot of her game got exposed and a lot of people know that she wanted Joseph and Monty out, there's not a lot of room for her to like be dragged along anymore. The new drag along is now Alyssa. I feel like if it's not Alyssa, it might be Terrence. She's not even in contention to be, drugged. I think Indy could easily just go home soon because she doesn't have much to her game, truly, that's going for her. When it comes to the strategy, she's not really doing enough at all. I feel like she's not in a good position. She's not really in an alliance. People don't really even care for her. People are getting annoyed with her. I gave her a 2 last week. I'm going to give her a 1 this week. I'm going to give her a 2. I'm going to keep her at a 2.
I think, honestly, I'm going to keep her at a 2 as well, because I feel like this is my thing with Indy. She is honestly, I feel like, a person on the other side who could really slip through. Because think about it. If the Festi Bessie twist continues, Kyle is going to join their group. Now, I don't really see a situation where all 4 of them are going to get nominated. I really don't. I think Jasmine will get targeted or Terrence will get targeted. So that means all 4 of them will be safe, which means after that, when the twist ends, I just don't see people wanting to necessarily put her up. I think Jasmine has made herself a bigger target. Terrence has made herself a bigger target. We have people like Monty who are being targeted. The other side can get a HOH. We have this new white brigade forming. I do think there's a possibility that Indy can be eventually seen as someone that we're just not going to touch for a minute, and she can sneak through, because as the game goes along, she's getting more and more worried about the wrong things. Like, she is working on this relationship with Joseph that is going nowhere because Joseph is actively lying to her face. She doesn't really have any other connections. Alyssa is now throwing her under the bus. All she has is Jasmine, and Jasmine is also at the bottom of the house. So it has to be a 2.
Yep. How do you feel about Jazz Cheater?
Jasmine, like, honestly, when it comes to a side of the house, like for the convenience store, she's obviously the smartest, but that's only because the actual smartest Namira went home. The default smartest also went home, so now it just falls on Jasmine's shoulders, and she's doing terribly with it. She is a very active player. Even today, very much today, she proposed a 6-person alliance to Kyle of her, Joseph, Kyle, Indy, Alyssa, and Terrence when Daniel goes home, because she was someone who wants a group. She wants that security. The issue is she's not seeing the game board. My thing is, how can you not see the game board at this point? Because Amira went home, and then Nicole went home, and now Daniel's going home. Clearly, the people, at least someone you're talking to, is on that side. I mean, the numbers just don't allow for it not to be true. I mean, to assume that a 5 of Michael, Brittany, Monty, Taylor, and Turner is happening, and somehow Joseph and Kyle is not in that. It's delusional in my mind. That is good work on Joseph that we're going to get into, but it's just that does not fully make sense. Jasmine, as well as Indy, is losing ally in the list, so she does not give a fuck about them. She is on Kyle with the safety train. I don't blame her, to be honest. And I mean, Monty and Joseph have now been turned fully against her because they know she's been talking shit and wanting them out. She's just in a really bad position. Some of the competition she's not even really going to be able to play in. She has to hope for an HOH that she can really win. And even if so, I think she can be convinced to do a completely wrong move. So I'm gonna bring her down to a 2 as well. I just think it's been really bad gameplay, and she's someone else who's also focused on the very much wrong things in a situation where she should be, focusing on building her game. She's still mainly talking shit about Taylor, and it's like, I don't know, babe, get a job, get a game, get a strategy, get a win equity. I don't know.
I agree 100%. The only reason I give her a 2.5 is because she is playing the game, and I just don't feel like Indy is. And I feel like that slight inkling of her playing the game just deserves, I feel like, a half a point. But a 2.5 is still horrible, so who gives a fuck? But honestly, I just agree with everything you said. She's not really in a good position. She's in a horrible position. She probably is going to be targeted first of this non leftovers group, and that's even worse for her. I feel like she really can't get out of it. I'm not confident that she can win the comp, especially with her boot. So it's not looking good for her at all, to be honest. So let's just move along to Daddy Joseph. Her.
Oh my God. I'm really, really happy for Joseph. I like Joseph as a player because and this is something that Pharaoh has mentioned before, like the girls just do not be lying. And Joseph is in this bitch lying. Mm-hmm. And I think the scary thing is Joseph has low-key been lying since week 1 because he does it way too easily. He's very, very eager. The issue with Joseph is just that he plays and he plays really hard. Like he goes, but he is just all the time. Like he is talking to almost everyone all the time, even with the information of knowing that Jasmine and them are targeting him. He put in extra work. He is now talking to them more. So the fact that they think that they can pull him into something, they think that he's actually dumb and loyal to them. At this point, I feel like he is out of the leftover group, one of the safest set up because I do think someone like Monty will be a target ahead of them. I do think Taylor, who's someone who doesn't have great connections with the convenience store, can also be a target. His biggest issue is that he do have a hater, Mr. Kyle. Kyle is very jealous of Joseph, and people like Michael and Brittany are also noticing how good of the game he is because they realize, oh wow, no matter what the convenience store knows about us, they don't think Joseph is a part of that, and that's because of a lot of his good work. I do think the great thing about him is that if someone like Jasmine, if someone like Indy, if someone like Terrence wins, these are people who I think will not put Joseph up. And I think if the leftover side of things win, I mean, I don't think any of them really have the balls to put him up this early. His biggest issue would be if, there's a situation later down the line where the numbers are getting scarce and he's so nominated and bloop, he gets voted out. But I think those are very niche scenarios. So honestly, I think a 6.5 with Joseph. I think he's on the up and up. I think he put in a lot of good work socially this week. He has, I feel like, fully distanced himself from Monty in a few people's eyes. The fact that he is now seen on the same level as, I think, Kyle, kind of this free agent, is really good for his game. And I think it can really be good for him going into jury, depending on whether Twist ends or not.
I actually agree with that rating, a 6.5. I feel like you said, he is in one of the safest positions of everyone in the house because he has the leftovers, and the leftovers aren't going to target someone in it. And I feel like if they take that shot, they'll know it has to be at Monty because the girls want Monty out. They need the votes. So I feel like they'd rather take the shot at Monty than Joseph. I think that's really good. And like Lee said, all of the people in the convenience store trust Joseph now. So he's going to be safe for, I feel like, a few weeks. And that's really, really good. I think it's because of the work he put in. And when someone's putting in that work, then they deserve to get credit for that. He's actively lying, like Lee said, to Jasmine, to Indy. He's making these people believe that he can even be on their side. And all of them, Jasmine, Indy, and Terrence, individually believe this. It's not even that, they decided or one of them's feeling it. He's made Terrence separately, Jasmine separately, and Indy separately feel like he can work with them. And that's really, really good work on his part. If the leftovers weren't so nasty and weird and bitter about certain shit, then this wouldn't even be like, there wouldn't even be no jealousy. But I feel like it's Kyle's kind of, he's just weird. And this new relationship with Taylor is scaring Michael and Brittany. But other than that, he's still doing really good. And he's still that girl, which is why I'll still give him a 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on to this motherfucking this Caucasian with palm colored KKK Klansman. I don't know what to call him, but Kyle genuinely
January
has been
6th
walking
rioter.
this January 6th rioter, this Trump supporter, whatever you want to call him. I'm not a fan. Kyle has been walking his nasty rat ass around for literally 2 weeks, complaining about the black people potentially making a cookout 2.0. How you showing your ass? Real nasty, like, for the world. The amount of people who are like, this man is literally a Klansman is sad. And when he gets out of his house, he'll just like, well, it won't matter because he doesn't have a job. He's not going to lose anything because he's jobless and he's homeless. Well, he's actually not homeless, but he should be because his mom sees that he's walking around with a fucking boner all day, so she might kick him out. Anyways, so the issue is that with all that being said, this man still has his white privilege. And one thing white privilege is going to do is it's going to get you far, baby. Whether that's in the Big Brother house, whether that's outside of the Big Brother house, Kyle is still in a good position, y'all. Mm-hmm. This man within the leftovers, Monte and Joseph haven't batted an eye about this man. They still think this man is pound strong. The pound is still a thing. He's made a final 2 with Turner. He has a 3 with Michael and Brittany. He has a 4 with Michael, Brittany, and Alyssa. He has a group trying to form with Jasmine, Indy, and them. They want to trust him. So honestly, he's probably the safest person in the house, regardless of him slandering the colored people's name all around throughout the game, because even Taylor likes him. So he's really, really safe. The strategy that he has, I feel like when he is being active and he's doing it towards the right thing, can still be good. So that's also good, but his focus has seemed to be deteriorating. He hasn't been focusing on the things he needs to focus on, which is why I'm going to bring him down to a 6.5, mostly because he's racist. But after that, we'll see how it goes. Let's see next week, Kyle.
I think the biggest issue with Kyle's game is that position-wise, it's so great, but his game has just been full with delusion this week. And it's really sad to see, because it's really based on a sense of unity that he feels is going to happen with POC based on nothing but color alone. I think a lot of people mentioned that it stems from him wanting to protect Alyssa, and I do think a little of that is true, but I think a big chunk of it is the fact that, you know, he is someone that grew up in a very sheltered community. I don't know a lot about the Mormon faith, but I do know he himself has mentioned that it is very sheltered. And I do believe that in his life, I mean, he probably has not been around a lot of diversity. He probably comes from a very fully Caucasian community. He is 30 years old, living with his mama, unemployed, doing shirtless TikTok. So I think that just shows how much probably universal experience he has with other people. And I think in this situation, he's in this house, he's kind of going crazy, as they're all doing, because they're locked up for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think that he's getting scared, he's getting paranoid, he's getting nervous, he's not feeling secure. He wants to feel secure. And the thing is, I feel like what makes him feel the most secure is being surrounded by people who look like him, people that he has known to trust over the years, because he only knows them. This is why Big Brother really needs to move away from that casting of this small town person who's never really seen a big city, because they're ignorant. They're ignorant. They come across very ignorant, very racist. It doesn't look right. The optics are terrible. But like Pharaoh mentioned, he does have a lot of privilege because he's white. And the thing is, whether he goes with the white brigade or not, it doesn't even matter, because, mind you, Joseph and Monte are loyal to him through the pound. They're 100% loyal to him. And that's why I have to bring him lower this week to a 6 for me, because the gameplay this week, it's just straight up delusional. People like Joseph and Monte were always on his side, and he chose to believe not so because of his own delusion on black people linking up with each other. Well, POC, because I don't know why he assumed Indy would be in that. Literally, she's a white Latina, baby. She could have been on your side. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, it's really sad, because throughout the entire week, we saw so many times he gets shot down. It wasn't until basically all of them threw each other under the bus in one day that he finally came to grasp with the fact that, oh, maybe they can't work together. And now, after the dust has settled, he still feels like he wants to collab with the White Brigade.
Mm-hmm.
That's not coincidental. It's also very weird. And like he's gonna. It's just really bad. I think also it stems from the fact that he feels like he can never make a connection with Jasmine, Terrence, and Indy that is closer than what Monty, Joseph, and Taylor could do based on race, which is dumb. Just go talk to them. That's another thing. It's like he is good because of the privilege, but he's not good because of the gameplay, at least not with this week. Because if you feel insecure about your relationship with them, go talk to them. He's had Alyssa. Alyssa knows everything that Jasmine and Indy is thinking because they tell her everything. But instead of talking game with her and actually utilizing Alyssa, he takes her information and runs back to Monty and Brittany with it. Like it was a lot of shots taken in his game this week that he will probably be able to recover from, but for me, never strategically, because he really showed his ass this week. And he honestly showed how dumb he kind of is as a player, because I don't think any of the moves this week were good for his game. He exposed a lot of it that could be really brought back up and used against him when need be.
Period. How you feeling about Michael?
Michael this week, it's a really weird HOH reign. I feel like, the big question is, should he have taken out Terrence and Jasmine, someone he doesn't have a good relationship with, or should he have just taken out Daniel? And that's, I do want to mention too, Michael and Brittany, they knew Taylor was not, kind of doing this whole Cookout 2.0 thing because of their allegiances to her. So this whole kind of time, they never really was just sold on the fact that it was happening, but they were still kind of questioning it, but they were never really fully like, okay, it's there. And in this situation, I feel like they more felt like, well, Jasmine, Terrence, Indy, these are weaker players. If I were Monty and Joseph, I would take them. So early in the week, he felt like maybe the move is to take out a Terrence or a Jasmine or a Monty. Also, a lot of this does come from Kyle's push as well. Eventually, like we mentioned, after the veto, he just decided to do Daniel. I do feel like, honestly, out of the convenience of this week, that was a good move. I just think it really depends on the way he handled it. I mean, waiting to the last minute to tell the girls, hey, I'm not putting up Monty, that was not smart, because like we mentioned, it really just solidified to them that he's with them. And that's not really even the case. He does not like Monty like that. And now I think at this point, he's not necessarily scrambling, but he's definitely now trying to re-solidify these other bonds. But I mean, he doesn't have Alyssa fully. He has Alyssa through Kyle. If they bring Turner in, that would likely be through Kyle as well. He has 5 competition wins. I mean, he's always just going to be this living, walking target. I mean, it's been 5 comp wins in 5 weeks. Imagine what he's going to do in week 10. Are we going to really let him get it to week 11, 12? I mean, he's just going to beast out to the end. I think he's really, really also taking some shots this week, but I also feel like because he's looking out past the leftovers, is something that I at least want to give him credit for, because I don't think a lot of the members have taken into account that, hey, jury is coming, this twist is going to end, we need other connections. And he is branching out and finding other connections, and I do think that he has a chance to mitigate his target level. I do think someone like Monty will be a bigger target to him. I do think Joseph can be someone that can be targeted above him at some point. So for me, though, I'm going to give it a 6, just because I think a big issue is that, prior to this week, people were unsure what side Michael was on. Now people are placing him on a specific side. He's one of the few people who is in the more vulnerable position because he's next to someone in the leftovers, and now they know that they're both in an alliance. So, they could easily still be targeted together. And all of these comp wins, like I said, it's just... It's too, like, it would be too hard. Like, I don't know. Like, why would you not target him?
Mm-hmm. I kind of agree. Like, my big thing with Michael is the comp wins. I don't think he needed this HOH, nor did he need this veto. I'm an advocate. If you feel like you should throw, go ahead, throw, Buki. He didn't throw either of these comps, and I feel like that's really, really going to be detrimental to him when it comes to getting to the end of the game. I feel like these decisions should have been more well thought out on whether he should win or not, because he has to think about winning the game. This is a full marathon, not a sprint. You done sprinted, boo. You might sprint your way out the door soon, because Jasmine and Indy are still here. Terrence is still here. If one of them wins, they know Monty, Joseph, Michael, and Brittany are on the other side. If they decide that the smartest thing for them is to get out the one who can win the most comps, which they should decide, Michael, your ass is gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be a little bit scary for you, and that's because of a lot of things you did. You pretending to want to target Monty and not actually. That really hurt your game after winning these comps because, babe, now you're the biggest target. If you're smart and you're on the opposition, Michael has to go because he's in the big alliance and he wins the most comps. Period. That's how you counteract that opposite alliance. I don't think any of them are smart enough to know that. I think they'll just target Monty, which is because they don't think Joseph is with y'all. So they might just target Monty. But if Monty win the veto, who they gonna target? Because if Jasmine wins the HOH and she's like, I'm just gonna knock Monty and Turner, and Monty wins the veto, who's going up if the twist is not in effect? Who's going up and going home, maybe? So that's why you gotta really be careful, Buki. And I feel like that's just it's getting scary because he's doing too much at this moment. However, like Lee said, I do think that it's positive that he's looking past the leftovers. He has this new 4-person alliance. He has the 3 with Taylor. He's still good within the leftovers, but in the grand scheme of the actual game, the reason Big Brother's so interesting is because anyone can win HOA. And now that the comps are more equitable, anyone can really win HOA. So that's kind of like not good for you, especially if they stay in Festies Besties, because you and Brittany are the only pair with only people from your side on it still. Is that true?
Yeah.
Correct. So if they stay in Festies Besties, Jasmine accidentally wins HOH, who's she gonna nominate other than you and Brittany? And then you could go home next week, boo. That's not good because you really messed up that relationship pretending. This is another thing I want to say. It's about Alyssa. Alyssa is the student in school who is really smart but doesn't apply herself. Everyone knows if she did her homework, she would be good, but she chooses to be the pretty girl and be Regina George instead. So she's not even doing her homework. But babe, Michael, the first person who said Michael's name was Alyssa. So him going to the 4 or him wanting to work with this white brigade, Alyssa, if she decides, if it's top 7 and he does have Alyssa there, Alyssa could be a thorn in his side that he doesn't even know, because the fact that she mentioned his name to Jasmine now, you think when it's top 7, she's not gonna be like, Kyle, babe. Yeah, you don't think we should take out Michael?
But that's the gag. Oops. At top 7, he probably gonna have 5 more comp wins.
It's gonna be even. It's gonna be so easy for anyone to want to get him out. And I feel like this is my thing. I think Michael is Kyle's blind spot. I think Kyle trusts Michael and wants to go to the end with Michael way too much. And I think Michael could be his blind spot. But with Alyssa now joining, I think Alyssa could wake Kyle up later in the game, because right now the girl is not focused. But if it gets to the end and she sees that winning path, she could be the reason that she's like, Kyle, Michael gotta go. And Kyle could be like, does he though? And she could be like, he does. And then Michael goes. And that, what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if this is the right choice for him to be making this white brigade, even though he's making it. He might need to be locking in Taylor. No? Taylor Turner, you, Brittany. What about that? I don't know. I feel like it might be better options for her, because his relationship with Alyssa is not the way, it's not like that. Alyssa's fake. She's a liar. So I don't know. I'm gonna give him a 6-2. I am. Monty, it's bad for Monty because Monty's pawns after his ass. His alliance after his ass. The only person loyal to Monty is Joseph. Period. That's horrible. If you had to really if you had to organize,
I'd say Turner.
If you had to organize the house in a who has the most loyalties, Monty's at the bottom. And that's really bad, because a lot of people who are going to win these next coming HOHs are going to be like, Monty can go. Even if they're in the leftovers, they might be like, oop, he can go. At the double, Monty's ass might be grass if the double is coming. So it's really bad for Monty. I can't give Monty a high score at all. The only thing I think is that it's not really his fault. It's kind of his art, him being a black man. He kind of has this
alpha male.
He's an alpha black man. So a lot of people are going to depict him as more of a threat than I think he necessarily is. I don't think he's really that girl, but because they think he's that girl, that's what matters. Like I said, he has no allies, and people are saying he's the biggest threat. How he a threat? He don't got no allies. But because he's perceived that way, it's really, really bad for him. I don't think he's done anything to really make this happen, other than, what did he do? Kind of losing the trust of Jasmine in them last week. That was a bad move. But other than that, it's not really his fault. But I'm gonna just give him a 3.3. Give him a 3. I'm gonna give him a 3. He's most likely going home within these next 3 weeks. I don't know what
Yeah,
to do.
now I will say I'm not that low on Monty Chow.
Well, that's
Uh,
kind of you.
but I feel like the issue with Monty is that it really could go either way, because if the Festy Bestie twist does not end, I do think he could still be insulated based on the leftover alliance. And then even if another person did, I think there's a good chance that he's not necessarily just gonna go home. I don't feel like he's just down and out yet. So for me, I'm gonna have it at about a 5. I think Monty's biggest issue is that he is way too loyal. And I think that is really an issue that people don't think about going into the Big Brother house. Yes, you can be too loyal. And this is something he mentioned preseason. He wants to get with a group. He wants to stay loyal to. He wants to ride it out to the end. That gameplay is not going to work in every single season. It worked for someone like Xavier. It worked for someone like Cody. But these are in seasons where the alliance is working together to push as a unit. And usually the person who's the most liked wins. In a season where it's so chaotic and everyone is pushing their own agendas, you have to push yours too. You can't just go with the flow and bring information. We saw he did this with Paloma's pack. That did not work out for him as well, because Amira and Nicole took the information and created what they wanted. Now Kyle is taking the information and doing what the fuck he wanted. It's kind of crazy, because looking at it, it's like you would think, oh, I should be able to tell my allies anything. But no, they're actively using his information and using it against him. This is a lesson he should have learned with the Amira situation. I feel like it's very bad, because after he put up Indy and Alyssa, he completely stopped talking to them. He has no relationship with them anymore. He had one prior. He was a whole alliance with Alyssa, and Indy was all over his dick. It's to the point to where Jasmine and Terrence have also turned on him, and they were some of his closest allies on the other side. The only reason why he was being grouped with them is because he openly said these people are close with him. So at this point, we have the White Brigade not trusting him. We have the convenience store not trusting him. Like Farrell mentioned, it's really only Joseph.
You didn't say nothing good and gave him a 5.
I think it's a 5 because of position, because if the leftovers sticks together, he's going to be good regardless. If a leftover wins, he's not being targeted. I think even, let's say Brittany wins, Kyle wins. Like, they have the majority of the house. They're pretty good at competitions. All of the competitions win has been by a leftover, minus Daniel and Jasmine, the first 2. So it's like, I think it's a good chance that the leftovers will still continue to win, and he can continue to be safe and get out of this mess, because I don't think he's down and out. So that's why it's a 5 for me.
I support. Next is Taylor, and you go for Taylor.
So here's my thing with Taylor. I feel like what I needed to see from her this week was to really try to branch out and make other relationships. But her, among a lot of people, but because her game is so, it's been beaten down so much, you know, she's focusing so much on this Festy Bestie twist and kind of those strategic things moving forward, and kind of what's best for the leftovers. But she's not looking at anything that's kind of, I feel like, best for her own self-interest. She's done really good things this week, like making a final 2 with Brittany. She has solidified a kind of a final 3 with Brittany and Michael. Those are things she has done. But in general, her game is all leftovers, and the leftovers are falling apart. A lot of that she is not able to be privy to, because it comes from her being a group of people she's just not aligned with. But at the same time, she's also not really doing the best to connect with other people. Like, she doesn't have anything solidified with Turner. She has nothing solidified with Joseph other than a fake showmance. Michael and Brittany are kind of wavering on her now. We have people like Jasmine and Terrence who still do nothing but talk shit about her all day. Indy is worried about everything else but the game. It's like, it's so bad, because she can't turn to anybody who can help her, because everyone dislikes her for no reason at all, or just won't work with her because she's black. Because literally, Alyssa wanted her in the Chinese Checker Alliance, but they're actively not putting her in it because they feel like she is privy to working with Joseph and Monty. It's just, she's in a really weird spot, and I feel like it sucks, because I do think she is someone who can still skate by. I think Michael will go before her. Terrence will, not Terrence, well, he will probably too. Monty will go before her. A lot of people could easily go before her. And I do think, because she does have this relationship with Michael and Brittany that she has really worked hard to solidify on her own, that she can be protected in a lot of ways. However, I just feel like a big issue is that she is one of the few people solidified in this group that they know about, the convenience store knows about. So if they win, she is someone they know can be targeted and can go home and be a number for them. And that's not good, because they hate her the most out of all of them from what we've seen. So for me, I'm going to bring it down to a 5.5, because I just feel like her position is getting really wary. It's getting really bad. I think if the Festy Bestie twist ends, that's the worst position for Taylor, because she's definitely being nominated if a non-leftover member wins. And she doesn't seem like she's really waking up to the fact that babe, like there's other games to be played. To me, she just seems to be comfortable in the spot that she's in, and I understand it. She wants to feel comfortable. She wants to be relaxed. She's been struggling all the way up until this point, but it's like the game is not over with yet.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with a lot what you said. But something I was thinking about is I just feel like Taylor has this weird natural, like I guess social ability, which it sounds so crazy because the girls hated her. But I think it's interesting because people like Alyssa, for example, Alyssa, when she was down with the White Brigade, she wasn't down with the White Brigade, she was down with the Checkers group, which included Taylor because she likes Taylor. Alyssa went out of her way to try to make a final two with Taylor. And another relationship is her relationship with Turner. Turner really, really likes Taylor. So I feel like if this White Brigade does form, everyone in it likes Taylor but Kyle. So even if it's a thing and she's not officially in it, they're going to want to bring, almost all of them are going to think Taylor can be my secret weapon. Alyssa's going to think that, Turner might think that, and Michael and Brittany will think that. So that's it's a random natural ability that she has that might bring her farther. The same thing is happening with Joseph. Joseph has nothing solidified with her, but I don't see Joseph getting her out before anybody but Monty may, but Monty's going to be gone. So even though there's not a final two solidified, because she has this kind of social ability, it really is going to help her regardless. I feel she does have the Michael Brittany thing still solidified. And I do think that especially towards the end of the game, they'll still want to go with her instead of a showmance because it's a showmance. So that's still a benefit, and that is something she does have solidified. She does have the final two with Brittany still. So I still think she's in one of the better positions. If someone in the convenience store wins HOH, Monty will still probably get targeted before her, and maybe even Michael. So I don't think she'll necessarily go home. And even if she's nominated, depending on who it's against, she might not go home either. Like, let's say they want Taylor out, but they put Taylor up against Joseph. It's possible that the White Brigade is just going to be like, well, Joseph can go, and she's going to stay because she still has those connections. So I do think that Taylor still has a lot of ways to get out of that and still make it to the end of the game and still win the game. But she was not putting in that work, babe. I'm gonna give her a 5.5 also. To be honest. Terrence. Terrence is weird because all he does is target black people. So all he does is walk around and make sure that anybody black can go home. So he spent this week doing a lot of work to try to get Monty out. Randomly, it did not work for him. He was lying to Jasmine earlier about Taylor coming to him about this fake alliance that she's officially with these other people. It was just a random lie. He doesn't really have many connections other than Jasmine and Indy and them, but they're all at the bottom of the house and they're not really going to do much to protect him anyways. Joseph and Monty know that he's fake and he be playing in their face. Taylor knows he's fake and he be playing in her face. Taylor says she's targeting him, so he could go. So it's just a lot that he's doing that's not really helping his game at all. He hasn't been actively doing anything positive to help his game. He's just been ruining it because every conversation he has, it gets back to the person he was talking about and they start to hate him. So I don't think that's good either. He's not in a great position, but I don't think he'll necessarily go home unless Taylor does win an HOH. So that's not good for him. Well, actually, Michael and Brittany was like, he could have went home this week. So actually, he was on the brink of going home low key. And he's one of the people who they feel like a lot of people don't have a connection with. Like Michael wants to build his connection with Jasmine, Indy, and Alyssa, but like Lee said, he didn't give a fuck about his connection with Terrence, and that's bad for him too. So honestly, I'm gonna just give him a 2.
Yeah. Honestly, Terrence is just an embarrassment on many levels. Like, it's very weird because he's one of the main people who preach, like, I kind of want to come in here and replicate what the cookout wanted to do. I wanted us to all work together and get to the end. And what we've seen him do in the last few weeks is tear down a black woman consistently. And now he's also targeting another black man for no reason at all. He literally wanted to actively sit on the block like Nicole did, like Pooch did, to send someone home who's in the majority alliance. And he's speaking to all the wrong people about it. I feel like he's spending his time thinking he's really masterminding something. Like him and Jasmine both really thought they had a chance to make this happen. Like I'm gonna whisper to Michael and I'm gonna plant a seed and we're playing Big Brother now. It's very embarrassing. And to mind you, he's doing all of this for Daniel.
The man who was yelling at a black woman for no reason. The man who's walking around saying,
he doesn't care. He doesn't care because this same black woman he trashes all the time. He called her a whore. Every time he has something to say about Taylor. Like, this is a grown ass man at his big age always having something to say about Taylor, like very, very jealous. The sad thing is he probably has black daughters. I hope he doesn't. I hope his wife is ashamed of him. I'm sorry. I like the lyrics gonna say, well, don't bring family into it. I'm not trying to bring family into it, but at the same time, like the fact that he probably has black women in his family and he is on national television consistently. I mean, daily bashing a black woman is just very weird. I don't think the score I'm going to give him, which is a 1, reflects that. I think he's a 1 because he has no social capita and he's going negative trying to use it to save Daniel. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah. Next, Turner. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was saying it about Brittany. Lee's been saying it about him. Turner probably gonna win the game.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you why. The girls who are playing the game are making so many mistakes. One thing Turner hasn't done is made a mistake. That's kind of how Xavier won. If you don't make mistakes, you can really get to that end game and you can really just win. Michael and Kyle have made a lot of game detrimental mistakes. Possibly when they get to that end game, Michael could easily get chipped because he won all these comps. Kyle can get chipped because he be going crazy. Child, Joseph and Monty are already seen as threats. Who else gonna win other than them? And that's the reason I thought Brittany could win, and it also applies to Turner and it really applies to Turner because Turner has the respect factor. If Turner does make it to final 2, people are going to respect him enough to win the game. Turner has won a competition before. So it's like he has a lot of good qualities that if he gets to that end game, he can win. I don't think Turner's that girl when it comes to gameplay. I don't think I'll ever give him like above a 6. And I think 6 is kind of high. But honestly, I'm probably going to give him a 6 based on position, based on the fact he can win, based on the fact he didn't make mistakes, based on the fact he's going to be joined into this White Alliance. But like I said, like, the White Alliance is just bringing him in. All the 4 of them, they have connections. They've worked on it. They've built it. They've tried it. He's only being brought in because he's white. If he was black, he wouldn't be in it. And I feel like that just shows that
and he's almost not being brought in it. Like he's
barely
in it.
Yeah, he's barely talks to the blacks because he doesn't talk to them. So, and he does have the pound that he thinks is real. So I guess he does have that, and he does have great relationships with Taylor. He has a great relationship with Joseph and Monty. But I just feel like he's not putting in that work at all. So all I'm giving him is based off the fact that he probably can win because everyone else is making mistakes. His rate goes up because everyone else is going down. As you see, the highest rating was 8. Baby, the highest rating is a 6.5. Like, they're going down, so I got to bring him up. He's a 6. He's probably going to win the game. I don't know what to tell y'all.
Yeah, honestly, I completely agree with that sentiment. I was saying it a few weeks ago, and it's like it's becoming truer and truer because a lot of people like Turner, and he's honestly probably the safest person in the house right now because no one is talking about targeting him. And if he goes up, it's definitely Jasmine, who everyone will vote out, probably even Alyssa. Like it's to the point to where I don't see anyone in the near or long term future wanting to target Turner, and he has the respect factor. I think he can probably get a few more competitions under his belt. And with him now being brought into the White Brigade, not officially, but they're gonna protect him because he's white. Let's be honest. He is really set up well. I think the real issue, like Farrell mentioned, is that it doesn't really stem from anything he's doing. However, I mean, he's staying out of the drama. He's not saying too much. He's not coming back and telling his allies everything. He has side things, He's
not necessarily staying out of the drama. He's actively making Jasmine mad at him, actively laughing at the veto ceremony. So even that.
That's true, but that's Daniel who is going home and Jasmine who no one gives a fuck about. So it's like it hasn't really affected his social stance, I feel like, at all. That's why I really didn't mention it. So I just feel like in general, it's just like my biggest thing with him is that it's not a lot of his own activeness doing it, but he's someone who I think is a social player. He has a lot of good one-on-one connections. A lot of people feel really closely and relate to him a lot. However, I think with me, a social game can only cap so high. So for me, it's going to be a 6. This was a shorter one. Ooh, I guess not much happened this week, to be honest. It's getting down to the time. It's like, I mean, we know everything is happening.
Yeah, and there's less people to rate. And we skipped over Daniel. It was a flop. All right, y'all. We got the order. At the bottom, Daniel, 0. He out. Terrence, 1.5. Trash. Indy, 2. Trash. Jasmine, 2.25. Trash. So that's everyone kind of out of the new power structure. Everyone else above them is in the power structure in some way. We have Monty at the bottom with a 4. He could be higher, but honestly, I think I would put Alyssa higher than him. Me personally,
I would too.
Like when it comes to the safety.
I mean, his threat level is this high. Like it's like we cannot ignore how much his name is being thrown around, and Alyssa is being protected by Kyle and white privilege. So
yeah,
I mean, and white privilege is a hard shell to crack, babe.
So other than literally, so of the people, the leftovers, the only person who's overcame them is Alyssa now. How? And I got her as a look. She on the come up. Maybe she will. I don't know. Anyways, after that we have Alyssa with 4.25. We have Brittany with a 5.25. Taylor in the top 5 with a 5.5. We have Turner and Michael tied with a 6. I honestly think that makes sense. I fear. Yeah. We have Kyle at a 6.25, and at the top we got Joseph with a 6.5. That's really because he's the only person who put in positive work this week. Yeah. Everyone's work this week was negative, but Joseph. Period.
I agree with that.
So there's that. After this, let's go ahead and look at our motherfucking draft picks, y'all. One thing about me is I'm a loser draft. How? So I have lost Pooch, Amira, and Paloma. And Daniel is going home. So I'm also losing Daniel. After this week, I will have Terrence, who's not going to win, Brittany, who I think can win, Joseph, who I think also can win, and Alyssa, who she might make it to the end game. So I'm not too mad, but baby, the winners, they on the other team, I fear.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna win. I mean, we could probably just stop showing this segment at this point because the girls
probably could. He has Michael, Kyle, Turner, Taylor. Like, he has Monty, who might go home, Jasmine, who might go home, and Indy, who might go home. But the other 4 are the top 4 to win. Period. Absolutely. The top 4 contenders to win. This dude has. So hey, I'm probably gonna lose. But hey, I tried. Yeah. I need a soldier. It's really only because Paloma quit. If Paloma didn't quit, she would have won. Queen. No, I'm lying.
Lying to yourself, babe. Calm down.
Child, that's it, y'all. The fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this week was a really weird week. I mean, it's definitely setting up, a potential race war happening. I think that just in general, on the security factor, that 4 of Kyle, Alyssa, Michael, and Brittany are definitely going to sit together. And I think if they can clinch more power moving forward, it can go either way. It really depends on whether this Festy Bessie twist ends or not, how the Savage, I want to say that so bad, how the leftovers will continue to solidify, but it really can go either way. What I'm happy about is that Taylor is in fucking jury. I mean, the person that we really thought was going to go home first is now in jury, solidified to be there at finale night. Like, I'm happy that she's going to have a vote. She's always going, like I said, it's like, she is just a staple of this season. I'm glad that she continues to be. And also, I'm happy because a lot of people like Kimmy, Dominique, Bailey and All Stars, they get cut pretty early and they're not able to really share their experiences because there's so much other things that's happening. So they just forget. The fact that a lot of these things are happening and Taylor are still there, it's like you'll never really forget the trials and tribulations she had to go through at first to get there. So I'm really happy. So I'm really hoping that she can continue to still stay in this game. Yeah. That's all I say.
I agree. Period. Check us out next week. We will be talking about the next week on the live feed update or whatever. We are also going to be doing a drag session of Daniel. Check that out. That's going to be on Thursday after that man gets voted the fuck out. We will be dragging the fuck down. Check us out every Thursday because we were dragging the girls. Honestly. We also do the challenge. Check that out. Bye. Mwah. And subscribe.
Y'all supposed to be subscribing. And like.